I didn't want to join a gang. They said, hey man, you gotta rock with one of us to be safe. You gotta put in work. And I'm thinking like, fuck no, I don't. What do you mean, bro? Like, I'm just chilling. Like, let's do our time and let's get out. That's the goal here. I told him no, but super respectfully. I was like, listen man, I'm just trying to get my time done. I'm not really trying to put in work for anyone. I'm not like that. He seemed kind of cool about it. I thought like, all right. And then I was alone for a while. You know what I mean? It was about a week and a half. And while I was showering, two people, I heard them come in and I asked what's up. I'm butt ass naked, bro. And one of them turned off the shower, dude. I was mad confused. I thought I was about to like scrap or something, or I thought they came in there to like smoke a cigarette or some shit. And one of them just hits me. I'll be honest, dude. I froze. I fall to the ground and one of them kicked me in the head and I started covering my head up and I felt one get on top of me and they raped me. That really changed my life. I'm screaming, bro. Everyone in the pod can hear me. I'm screaming help. No one came. They all let her have.
What's up, people? Welcome back to the Guardian File. Make sure you hit that like and sub button. This morning I'm going to make a quick video. I stumbled upon this YouTube short where a former inmate describes an altercation that occurred in the prison showers where he ended up being raped. Now, when I saw this, I thought in my head, nowadays that really only happens to inmates who are in prison for committing crimes against children. You know, a specific type of crime. Children. Like I said, in my mind, I'm thinking he's leaving something out, because even though this happens to the common inmates sometimes, rape doesn't happen as often as you would truly believe, because there's so many inmates in general population that are willing and ready to give it up without any fight. So nowadays, there's really no need for a lot of guys to feel like they need to take anything. But I hate to say it, but he actually has this Chomo look. And I hate to say that, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that resemble this guy and they look like chomos also, but they haven't committed those type of crimes. So I would like to apologize for generalizing this man's look, but he does have that look. What happens is, as soon as an inmate gets off the bus when he arrives to his new institution, well, not immediately afterwards, when he makes it to his dorm room, his dorm, either that first day or the second day, or for the most part, at least by the end of the week, what's going to happen is a representative from one of the groups or gangs will approach him, most likely a white gang, Aryan Brotherhood, ABs, most likely them, since he's a white guy. And they're going to request, aka demand, to see his paperwork. Paperwork being his, I guess, court documents that describes his crimes, whether he assisted in the investigation, cooperated with authorities, aka snitch. And see, whenever there's someone that's a quote-unquote snitch that arrives to the prison and that paperwork is checked, and if that paperwork isn't what it needs to be, and it's determined that you have cooperated with the authorities or you have had crimes against children, they'll have you do what they call check-in. And see, I know that we have this vision of what checking in is on the streets, out in the free world, especially with the situation going on with Big U and rappers having to check in. But this is something totally different. Checking in prison means that you'll have to go to solitary confinement, aka SHU, aka the lockdown unit in prison, whereas you're basically in prison inside of another prison, and you're locked down 23 hours out the day, and you get 1 hour of rec. You get the option to go to rec out into another cage within that prison, inside the prison. I know it's confusing, but You can figure it out. They'll be forced to check in, and they'll have to check in and stay in lockdown, aka SHU, aka solitary confinement, until they're able to come up with the funds and pay for their own safety and being able to walk in general population, aka they'll be extorted, or they'll stay there, rack up a whole bunch of incident reports so that they can't go or be forced to go back out into general population, or stack up incident reports in the hopes of being able to transfer somewhere else. And at least I know in the federal system, there's only a handful of institutions, whereas there's a high population of chomos that can walk freely. Now, there's one in particular. Let me say this. The average chomo in a prison, they normally try their best to stay out the way. They don't want to draw no attention to themselves, whatsoever, because they know what they're locked up for. And when they draw attention to themselves from other inmates, nothing good can possibly come of it. So you will see they'll often stay to themselves. They have their own tables in the cafeteria, and the only people that they'll hang around are the guys that are locked up with the same crimes as them, because nobody else will accept them. So there's only a handful of prisons where they can walk freely in safety. I worked at one of those prisons. Well, I work there now. Whereas the population of chomos were so high that they formed their own card, aka their own group, family, gang, because it was so many of them. Whereas they even had 2 tables in the cafeteria where they ate. Now, it was so many of them that we all know that the prisons are filled with, have a lot of black men in there. And aside from the black men, the other largest group that's in there are the Hispanic guys in the federal system. And at this prison that I worked at, or currently work at, there was so many chomos that they had enough to create their own group, their own gang, whereas they were able to protect themselves and felt comfortable enough not to show their paperwork and to freely basically boast about their crimes on children, because there were so many of them, and they knew that at this institution, if someone dares to ask me about my paperwork, they'll get locked up. That inmates that's requesting to see their paperwork, review their paperwork, those inmates will get locked up as soon as it's found out. So they were so cocky and confident that they were actually calling shots, assaulting other inmates, being aggressive. Sounds crazy, right? They were actually proud of the crimes that they committed on children. It's disgusting to be honest with you, and it's difficult as an officer because, I'm human. Obviously, every officer that works in the institution is human. And so, we have feelings, and sometimes we can personalize things too, especially if we have children, nieces, nephews, etc. It's difficult, but possible. Matter of fact, you have to do this to put your personal feelings aside and treat them professionally and not any different from any other inmate group. Now, obviously, there's some individuals who are correctional officers that say, F that, he committed this crime, I'm going to treat him like crap. Understandably. But when we sign up for this job, we sign up to treat everyone fairly and equally. I've had to catch myself sometimes not to personalize anything when it comes to them because I have my own children. But it's difficult. It may sound crazy, but a majority of us, along with the other inmates, and maybe society in general, view their crimes as worse than taking someone's life, because you're doing this to an innocent person, a weak person that has no control over what's happening around them. So this is why their stay in prison is so difficult. We may get upset when we see a person get arrested, go through trial, be convicted, and only serve maybe 2 to 5 years. I know I personally get pissed off when I see things like that. And I know I'm not the only one. But what y'all have to realize is that every single day that this Chomo is in prison, it's hell for him. He cannot relax. Every person around him is a threat to him, to his safety. So his 2 years maybe feel like 10, to the point where so many of them, if they can't leave, they get so tired of the abuse that they take their own lives. So when you see these guys getting these sentences that you feel are too short, understand this. They cannot function like the average inmate in prison. Every single day is going to be hell on earth for them. So they're paying the price. Even though they may need more time than what they're being given, that time is extremely harsh in comparison to what the average inmate has to endure. I just stumbled across this video and I was just wondering and curious, what crime did this guy actually commit for him to be assaulted like that in the shower? And before I go, one thing he stated is that they said he needed to be in a gang. Please don't believe that. Please don't believe that. No gang is going to want to accept him. So no one asked him to be in the gang. What most likely happened was he got his paperwork checked. He was told he needs to go check in. He most likely refused. And the repercussions behind it was him being assaulted in prison by whatever group, black, white, Hispanics, whatever group decided to do it. And the reason why no one came to help him, most likely when he was being raped in an open area, is most likely because of the crime that he committed. No one's going to come in and help him. Now, technically, the officer should have been there to help him. But when you have so many inmates dealing with so many inmates, you could be doing your job to the fullest on one end of the cell block. And all the inmates are watching you. They know your every move. So while you're doing your job somewhere else in the prison, this can be happening on the other side of the dorm. And you won't be able to hear nothing. And by the time you get back to that area, it's already done, evidence cleaned up, etc. So don't view the officers as if they weren't doing their job. Now, that could have been a possibility. But even if they're doing their job to the fullest, this stuff can happen because it's well planned out. They have nothing else to do but plan things out. But that's my thoughts, and I just wanted to give y'all a little feedback on what this guy actually did and what the chomos have to endure when they get locked up. Leave these kids alone.
With one of us to be safe. You gotta put in work. And I'm thinking like, fuck no I don't, what do you mean, bro? Like, I'm just chilling. Like, let's do our time and let's get out. That's the goal here. I told him no, but super respectfully. I was like, listen man, I'm just trying to get my time done. I'm not really trying to put in work for anyone. I'm not like that. He seemed kind of cool about it. I thought like, alright. And then I was alone for a while. You know what I mean? It was about a week and a half. And while I was showering, 2 people, I heard them come in. And I asked what's up. I'm butt-ass naked, bro. And one of them turned off the shower, dude. I was mad confused. I thought I was about to like scrap or something. I thought they came in and like smoke a cigarette or some shit. And one of them just hits me. I'll be honest, dude. I froze. I fall to the ground and one of them kicked me in the head. And I started covering my head up. And I felt one get on top of me and they raped me. That really changed my life. I'm screaming, bro. Everyone in the pod can hear me. I'm screaming help. No one came. They all let it happen.